It occurs to me we may have optimized civilization based on money over the last few hundred years. The thing we never seem to think about changing is money itself. Money is Bronze Age technology. We're not exchanging bits of shiny metal anymore. The incentive scheme for human civilization has resulted in many people earning lots of money for doing jobs which are useless and sometimes downright negative. Sci-fi movies often make use of futuristic projections like AI robots and space travel. And scientists are keen to work on these projects which have the potential to radically alter the way our world works. One trope of sci-fi movies is the notion of credits being used instead of money. Star Wars, Total Recall, Demolition Man. I'm sure this is used so as to give the movie an international, futuristic feel to it. But are we really going to be using money forever? Is there some improvement we can make? I'm not talking about Bitcoin, which works in basically the same way. It is a form of currency based on the ages-old concept of how money works. If we get to Mars, are the colonists going to be using money still? Or we will have something better than money, some kind of space credits? How would space credits actually work? How could space credits be better than money? So, let's get into it. I first started thinking about space credits after worrying about the evolution of AI robots and cyborgs. Surely they will be better than humans. So some humans have cyborg babies because they will be better and they are kind of like humans. Then cyborgs have AI robot babies because they are better and they are kind of like cyborgs. Then the humans get out-evolved, and no one wants a human baby anymore. They die on you, take decades of looking after, even if they don't die, and they are dumber and weaker than the other options. AI robots are very powerful, and will be desired, so using a monetary system, how can we stop AI robots proliferating? There seems to be no way. People will do jobs based on how much they get paid, and people will get paid a lot to produce powerful objects like AI robots. Even if we made cyborgs and AI robots illegal, rich people and governments would still fund them, as they are so powerful. Money has no memory. It doesn't matter what you got paid for. All money is the same. You could get paid to make AI robots, or an atom bomb, or a bioweapon, or profiting from organized crime, bribery, corruption, and you use the same money as a nurse, a teacher, a colonist on Mars. So the most obvious way that space credits could be different to money is to give them a memory. The credits store how the credit was earned using blockchain technology. This gives space credits a moral dimension, which is lacking in money. Giving space credits a memory immediately places restrictions on their use and tells us how we would need to use them. Credits could not be traded. Credits could not be given to someone else, which prevents theft and fraud, but you could use credits to buy things for other people. Prices are still based on supply and demand, but when you spend the credit, the other person in the transaction does not receive the credit. The credit disappears. It is used. The other person involved in the transaction is presumably providing some useful service, so they are getting credits by providing that service. So credits are created and destroyed. Destroying them preserves value and prevents inflation. Bitcoin preserves value by virtue of there being a limited supply, which is a different way of addressing the problem. But Bitcoins are not allocated to people based on how useful the work people do is. Bitcoins are as amoral as any other money. So where do these moral space credits come from? Who decides how many credits people get for doing certain jobs? This is the really tricky part about credits, and this is probably why it hasn't already gained widespread interest. Because it would seem like giving money a moral dimension is something that world leaders, and especially religious leaders, would at least pay lip service to. It is tempting to say the government should decide, but top-down organisation is limited in its ability to manage systems as complicated as a country. Also, a top-down approach seems like it would lead to corruption. Money is bottom-up organisation. That is its major benefit. So if space credits is to replace money, it should also be bottom-up organisation. This means the people decide who gets how many credits, adding another level of democracy, where people vote for how many credits people get for doing whichever jobs. If the system is to be more efficient and economical than current liberal capitalism, which seems necessary for it to actually be adopted, then the decisions about who earns what would need to be made in a wise way. The internet is the greatest organisational tool we have ever devised, and yet we don't directly use it in our political economic system. I suggest research into making full use of the internet as a hive mind, bottom-up organisational tool which apportions credits to useful work. I stress the word research. I do not suggest simply adopting this system without years of testing, and even then it could easily turn out to be worse than what we're already doing for myriad reasons. The actual implementation of a space credit system is wide open to many different schemes. Let me make it clear here that I am not ideologically held to space credits as being great. I think of it like adding a new medicine. You don't just add the new medicine assuming it will be better. You won't know the full impact and side effects of the medicine on humans for decades. You start out small in labs, seeing how the medicine reacts on a chemical level. Promising medicines are passed on to the next level, most will be discarded. The next step may be animal trials on mice, but make sure their telomeres aren't too long. Way down the road, you start human trials, monitoring results carefully. At any time, pulling the trial if the medicine is statistically performing worse than previous best medicines. These trials we put medicines through will mostly result in failure at every level, but if we do get a medicine that is better than what we had before, we can save many lives. This is the scientific attitude that we should apply to space credits and any new political economic system. We shouldn't assume it is going to be better just because it sounds more moral. Something like space credits could be the new hope for politics, but it has to be done in the right way, the scientific way. I would like to see trials of other political economic systems other than space credits, alongside the familiar systems we already have as control groups, so that we have something to compare it to. The low cost of doing this research compared to the potential cost benefits should make this a priority. I will take a guess at how a space credit system might work. A key feature in common with money is bottom-up organisation, Adam Smith's invisible hand. Chaos theory is very powerful, and it should not be underestimated how big an impact this will have on any bottom-up space credit system. This means I can talk all I want, but we won't know how good or bad space credits is until we actually test it out. We will still need some top-down organisation as we do have today, but space credits gives us the opportunity to reduce top-down organisation requirements. For example, with space credits, there need be no taxes. There are jobs which currently make money and jobs which cost money, but are necessary for civilization, like road building and the police. If people are simply getting credit for doing what society deems a useful job, we don't need taxes. This means there is no giant slush fund of money for big governments to use in corrupt ways. This may also make it more difficult to start violent wars, which often benefit from huge coffers of secret money flowing between parties likely to benefit from the conflict. With space credits, there is no secret money, no offshore bank accounts where illicit proceeds from nuclear weapon sales are deposited. It will make it incredibly difficult to be a corrupt politician because everyone would know how many credits you are getting and from where. Sports stars would not need to be earning ridiculously more than nurses because society could determine we don't need to pay people to do sports. I will play for Manchester United for free, but if I score a hat-trick against Man City, you can give me credits if you want. If I become heavyweight boxing champion of the world, you can give me credits if you want. This also has the potential to bring together the so-called left and right wings of politics. If the right wing is the established way of doing things, the thesis, then the left is the new way of doing things, the antithesis. Getting the best of both worlds would be the synthesis of the old and the new. Elements of space credits seem to embrace some right-wing principles, such as limited government and low taxes, while other elements embrace left-wing principles, like fairer pay and more voting. Instead of people voting for who should be in power, the people are in power and make all the decisions about earnings directly. I expect there will be disagreements based on psychological predilections. There will still be tribal politics, where groups have leaders and copy what their leaders say people should be paid. But these differences will be balanced out across all the people who vote for credit salaries. I imagine a computer program which you access through the internet in your home, which lets you decide how many credits every person in your country should get. This is obviously too much to do individually, but the potential is there for you to give your favourite actor more credit. In practice, you would select a template proposed by the political party you like best, or a mixture of several templates from esteemed political scientists. Then, your more specific personal preferences would be overlaid on top of these templates. You would take advice from famous intellectuals and your own personal moral convictions about how much more a surgeon working 80 hours a week should get paid compared to a waiter working 20 hours. If there was a shortage of asteroid defense scientists, you could give this job more credit. All these credits votes could also be scaled by various factors to give performance-related pay. If you work in the same company as a person you are credit voting for, you would presumably have an insight into how good a worker they are. There could be tracking of how well people perform in their job. Various methods could be used to give performance-related pay so that the high earners really deserve high wages. If you are a qualified expert in road building, your influence on road building projects could be weighted more heavily than an 18-year-old who knows nothing about it. There are many possible mechanisms for weighting the credit votes so that wiser people's decisions count more heavily than ignorant people's votes do. I personally know next to nothing about fishing. I am happy to have my credit votes in regards to fishing being minimized so that the best result is arrived at by the hive mind. What if someone is not capable of providing a useful service to society, and so can't earn credits? In this case, I would expect people will get credit for helping these people. Of course, people could decide to give a basic low level of credit to everyone, but this isn't necessary. Severely disabled people do not need to be given credits directly. Those providing for them would get credit. People who refuse to work do not need to be given credits. Those who provide food and shelter and video games to them would get the credit. Helping someone out in the street could be videoed and uploaded to the internet, providing evidence that you deserve some credits in return. People could roam the streets and the internet looking for ways to help each other, as they know they will be justly rewarded for being helpful. The range of ways people could earn credits widens out to include many jobs which currently do not earn money, such as caring for elderly relatives and children. The incentive scheme for human civilization could be radically different. We don't think that people who have more money are more moral, as there are so many immoral and amoral ways to earn money. Space credits is money with a moral dimension added, because how you earned your wages is encoded in the credit, and people get more credit for doing jobs which deserve more credit. This is judged by society at large using bottom-up organisation. Citizens vote for how many credits each job deserves, with votes weighted according to various rules, which mean wiser voters have more say in areas relevant to their knowledge base. The system requires no taxes, no debt, and limits government power considerably. Organised crime and fraud is very hard to profit from. Violent conflicts and wars are less likely, as there are no shady paymasters or winners, and no mercenaries. With people doing useful jobs to earn credits, useless jobs are redundant, and this makes the economy more economical. Wages are fairer. Inequalities in wages will remain, but the people earning the huge wages deserve them. And finally, we can stop the AI robots arms race and all other international arms races, because each government would know the others weren't secretly building doomsday weapons, as there are no secret arms projects. All economics is transparent. Space credits is arguably more authoritarian than money, but it is bottom-up authority derived directly from the people. This means the top-down organisation, the government, can be less authoritarian and the system will still function. This is my attempt at getting us closer to world peace. If you support independent philosophy, bear in mind I am not funded. Please consider giving me more credit than you would a waiter. Support me using the links below.